So welcome to our show this week. We got a lot of great stuff, but to kind of start it off, I want to check out, Matt, how was your week this week?
It was kind of a mixed bag, a little uneventful. I know I say that every week, but I finished Shiki, the anime I mentioned before. That is the most Pyrrhic ending I've ever seen to a thing, without going into it. You'd seen that one, right, Anthony?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just... And then, admittedly, not much else.
Oh, man. Boring week, huh?
Boring week.
Well, that's right. I got you covered, because this week was kind of nuts for me. So, just crazy week. Like, been working on my car, having all these, like, trying to figure out this issue, why it wasn't starting. And come to find out, my dumbass self forgot to check. There was a short in one of the electrical systems, and I forgot to just check the fuse, and that was all it took. Got it fixed, and everything's back up and running. Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. I was a big relief, but I was like, oh man, God, I'm such an idiot. So
try plugging it into the TV.
You try turning it off and on again.
Yeah, I was so frustrated. It was ridiculous. Can't believe that. Yeah, I was just like, dumbest thing ever. But other than that, that's a crazy week. Today alone was crazy. He took Sophie to the zoo for Riker's birthday, so Anthony's girlfriend's son, and we went to the zoo and had a great time. Kids were crazy and got stuck in the rain.
Wasted 40 fucking Pokeballs on a Pidgey.
That's what you get. But crazy rain, and got kind of stranded in the middle of the zoo, but it was a lot of fun. And then yesterday I actually did my first yoga class, so that was super interesting. I was
sore in places you didn't know exist.
I'm sore in places I didn't know exist, but I was
say it looks like it didn't take.
Shut up, man. No, it was quite intense. I was super like anxious about going into it and having never done it before, and not really getting the environment, to kind of put it that way. But after getting through the first 10 minutes, it was pretty good. It was a hell of a workout, so it was a good time. It ended up being a good time, so can't complain. And yeah. So Anthony, how about your week?
Well, actually, before we kind of launch into how my week was, I just kind of want to give a quick little announcement. The Proceeds meteor shower is actually going down this week on Thursday night, Friday morning, and apparently this year is supposed to be an extra badass year for it, because the trail is actually colliding with remains from previous trails and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So like this meteor shower is actually supposed to be really, really good. So if you guys get a chance, Thursday night, Friday morning, definitely go check that out.
That'll be super awesome.
Yeah.
Do they have like a specific time to watch out for it? Or?
No. So again, basically, that's the peak time is the Thursday night, Friday morning.
All right.
So as with like any other meteor shower, there's always really like a day or two on. There's really like a day or two on either side that you can still kind of see some of it.
All right.
But the peak time will be late Thursday, early Friday. And try and get somewhere dark. Like, I know if you live in the city, it can be kind of a pain in the ass to try and find some dark sky, but it's definitely better seeing in the dark sky. Give your eyes a few minutes to adjust, and definitely check them out.
And for all our fans, that's August 11th is the Thursday, August 12th is the Friday. So throughout that Thursday night into Friday morning, check it out. It should be pretty awesome. I mean, all of us here at Duly Nerded, super into anything space related. So we always like to give shout outs to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm going to try and make a conscious effort to do going forward, is just kind of keeping you guys apprised of any celestial events that you'll be able to see in the night sky, just because personally that's something that I really enjoy. So I'll just try and keep everyone else up to date with that as well, just in case, it piques your fancy.
Awesome. Yeah, so check that out, guys. It's going to be super awesome. You'll be able to see it with the naked eye. You don't have to worry about a telescope, but obviously a telescope could make it really fucking cool. So check it out for sure.
Right. Yeah. And then as far as my week, though, ended up reading One Punch Man.
Nice.
I just kind of got like a wild hair and went through and read the whole manga. And it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I watched it, and we are trying to convince Chris to get into one or the other.
Yeah, and it's so good. I love the fact that the main hero is just completely underappreciated. Everybody else takes credit for what he does.
Yeah, as my
he's
just athlete put it, he's bored Superman.
Exactly, he's beyond powerful, and yet he's one of the lowest ranked superheroes in their little league of superheroes that they have, and it's just funny. And people keep getting confused why he's hanging out with all these super strong heroes, because they think he's super weak. It's great. It's just a lot of fun. Like, even the
Nice.
fight scenes are full of comedy. It's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then the other main thing I really got into this week is, especially after hearing Chris talk about it nonstop, I sat down and watched all of Stranger Things.
Yes.
And, oh my god, that was such a good show.
Yes, indeed.
From start to finish, I was hooked. Like, even the very first episode, when they, again, just like any first episode, it's all just setting the scene and getting the series rolling and just setting up the exposition. But even the way they did that was so well done. And as Chris mentioned in one of our previous podcasts, I think the highest selling point of that show was the music.
Oh, yeah.
The music for that show was fantastic.
It
It
really
highlighted the creepy scenes perfectly.
It does. It pulls it together.
The drama, the music was just phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Plus, again, as we've mentioned before, the synth sounds and everything like that, it was amazing. I really and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and they did a huge interview. The creators, the Duffer Brothers, did a huge interview this week talking about kind of everything they did. And one of the really cool things that is they actually they were shot down 15 different times before they actually got their pitch to Netflix to go ahead and take. And a lot of places were like, if it's not going to be for kids, then we need to focus more on the detective. And it was really great that they stood their ground, because the kids really do add a certain charm to the story.
And can we talk about that? Like, the kid actors were phenomenal.
Oh, they were fantastic.
I have never seen child acting that good, that consistently from a television show.
And one of my favorite things is they actually had all the kids that came in and auditioned, they read scenes from Stand By Me. So that, again, adds a little bit.
That was another thing. So I saw a thing on, I saw a thing on Facebook that basically compared Stranger Things to all the really popular tropes and everything from the 80s, and specifically Stand By Me. And, so it was talking about, the fat kid that brought the stuff that wasn't really necessary for whatever they were doing. And, it also mentioned all the Easter eggs with the John Carpenter poster for The Thing and, all that kind of stuff. It was really, really good. It was very much an homage to the 80s, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, it was super great. It was a lot of fun. So, I mean, Stranger Things is so great, and I just can't rave enough about it. It's so great. So
I just hear homage to the 80s, and I just think Kung Fury.
Oh.
I can't help but smile.
You know what? That was another really good one. That was one we ended up just watching again on a whim and just loved it. The whole David Hasselhoff thing and the whole thing of Kung Fury was awesome.
Kung Fury was a lot of fun, and it was definitely 80s in a different way than Stranger Things.
Right, yeah.
But no, it was really, again, that one was really enjoyable, really fun, just goofy.
And Stranger Things, though, really hit on my particular genre of television. Because it was the mystery / horror / creepy / drama, kind of like Supernatural, where it ties all these elements together to form a really cohesive story, and it was just done incredibly well. The creepy parts were really creepy. The ambiguity of what was actually happening really drove the story along.
Well, and they did a good job, because it's two separate storylines for the first half of the series.
Exactly.
You have very much the story of the kids and the girl, without spoiling anything. We're not going to spoil anything. You have the story of the kids and the girl, and then kind of the story of the government organization.
Well, and I would
side.
argue there was even more, because then you have the story of the teenagers.
Yeah.
And then there's the story with the
Will's mom,
the crazy mom, and all that.
Yeah,
so is this a mystery?
It's very much a thriller. Could even venture into horror. In the way that it's done, really, really great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So really great. Yeah, they have a lot of horror elements to it. A lot of thrilling mystery.
The only reason I would consider it mystery is because it is a horror television show. Okay. Which horror television shows seem to, by default, kind of fall into the mystery category. Because there is that, let's figure out what's happening element to it.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing. If you do horror well on TV, it's going to leave you asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really great to...
Well, like American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Especially, the first season of American Horror Story.
Yeah,
You're very confused at the
answer
beginning.
much.
You're trying to figure out what exactly is going on in this house. And then as the series progresses, you learn more and more.
Yeah, definitely, which is another really fun series.
Yeah. But one of the other really great things that I appreciated about Stranger Things was the fact that the kids were playing D&D.
Yes.
And, D&D is one of those things that I grew up playing it because my dad was a huge D&D nerd. All of us here have actually had multiple RPG games that we've played together.
Yep.
Not necessarily D&D, but some of the other ones, especially the Star Wars RPG.
Yep.
We had a really fun campaign with that going for quite a while.
And that's actually how me and Matt met, was actually through Matt's first D&D campaign. He had done other tabletop RPGs.
Which you can read about if you go to www.duly-nerded.com.
Check it out. But yeah, that's actually how... Shameless plug. But yeah, that's actually how Matt and I first met, and definitely check out Matt's post, because you'll definitely see some dynamics in how we interacted the first time we met. It was really funny.
A fun time. I'll do more of those in the future too.
Yeah, it's a great time, and that kind of actually leads into my topic for the week. I want to talk about D&D because with all the publicity D&D is getting right now because of Stranger Things, obviously a big focal point of the show with the kids. My personal love for it, everyone here, all of our personal love for it, and some of the stuff that's going on. If anyone's ever used Roll20, it's a really great online platform that you can use for any kind of RPGs, tabletop RPGs, so you can play with your friends online. So me and my buddy Josh use it. He's in Nevada. We play, and we're able to, it's like we're sitting around the table. It's really great, and buddies up in Denver, all over the place, we use it. But actually, just of last week, there's actually official Dungeons and Dragons content available on Roll20, which is super awesome. So, I mean, for fans of the original RPG, obviously going into everything.
I'm going to interrupt here real quick. When you say there's official Dungeons and Dragons content on there, what do you mean?
So they actually have starter sets and adventures all built into Roll20.
That's pretty cool.
So it's always supported D&D and supported fan-made, your own made campaigns, but they actually have it integrated into, so they actually have all the different acts, notable NPCs, all of that is actually integrated directly into Roll20 now for some of the, and it's all official Dungeons and Dragons content.
That's pretty cool. And I mean, that's one of those things that is really good, especially for people that are just getting started or don't really have a dedicated GM that can build their own campaign.
Yeah.
Because that's always, personally, that was part of the fun for me. I enjoyed being DM because I could create these just like absolutely bonkers campaigns.
Definitely, yeah.
I've tried both spectrums, and I definitely enjoy being the player more than the storyteller.
And it's a lot of fun. And just to kind of wrap up what I'm talking about in Roll20, and then we'll kind of dig more into just D&D in general. They have, it's really great because the first module that they rolled out has 5 pre-generated characters that you can pick from. Has like game tokens, maps, all the documentation you possibly need, and for like 4 to 6 people. And it's super great. So, and it actually costs the same as the starter pack that you could go and buy from the store. So it just digitizes all of it for you, and it makes it all available in the game. And it's really great because then everyone has access to it. And again, if you're playing with friends that are in a different state, different country by chance, you don't have to worry about everyone going out and buying it or trying to track down the documentation. It's all right there in the online system. So it's super great, and with D&D's really making a huge comeback. I mean, it's been something that's always been there. There's always been huge fans. I mean, for me, I played so much 3.5, ditched 4. I hated 4th edition. I was not a fan. Played a ton of 3.5. It was really great. But actually 5 that just came out earlier in the year is really great as well. They simplified a lot of things.
I've heard really good things.
Yeah, they've simplified some things. They've added a lot of new really great things.
Even then, like the thing with D&D, because again, I mentioned my dad played it way back in the day. He has some of the original like paperback pamphlet D&D manuals. And so it's one of those things that like it's just you can really almost make up your rules as you go along, as long as everybody playing is okay with it.
Oh yeah,
because D&D, like you said, it's always been there. It's one of those things that, I mean, my dad and his buddies used to just go through 2 liters of Mountain Dew playing D&D in their mom's basement just all night long. And then I remember when I was a teenager, playing me and a couple of my other buddies, we would just sit around the living room table and we would just play through a campaign. And of course, we were teenagers, so we like being like ridiculously OP.
Yeah.
So it got to a point by the end where we could one shot like an observer with a magic missile, just like, obscene stuff like that. So that's really the nice thing about D&D is essentially as long as the party is okay with anything, it really is anything goes.
Oh yeah.
So it's literally
House
just
rules are very common.
Exactly. It's just get a bunch of friends and have some fun together. And
Yeah.
that's really the best part of D&D, in my opinion.
Well, and for me, I generally am the one who DMs a lot of our games because I mean, I love playing, but it also a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how to DM. I'm not sure like what to do. I don't know if I can put together a story, and we're not really big on pre-mades. We've played so many pre-made campaigns
Yeah,
that
we tried a few and they didn't really pan out.
yeah. So I usually DM because I love telling stories. I love creating
Right.
worlds. It's so much fun. I mean, so recently, our most recent game was a Star Wars D20 campaign that we did. And it was a lot of fun. Matt and Anthony were both there, and
A couple of our other buddies.
yep, a couple other buddies there
And
as
people
well.
got so butthurt.
Oh yeah, there's
It
definitely
was an interesting one.
It was.
when you have someone new
Well
coming in,
said, butthurt friend. That was his first experience with the game as well. So
and
had
he got
no idea
some
what was
he got
doing.
some really shitty rolls, and a lot of things
Yeah.
happened. So
Yeah.
it felt
It was
like
frustrating.
it felt like the world was stacked against him, which can happen in those kinds of games.
Right.
And one of my favorite things to do as a DM, and you know, it really depends on your players. You have to really gauge the people that are involved. But one thing that I really love to do is to create a core campaign, but also have a myriad of side quests ready. So if they decide they want to go somewhere else, and like you know, they get the main quest. Usually, there's a start that you know it is
I was
kind
going to
of
say,
set up.
because sorry to interrupt, but I was going to say that was one of the things I felt you did really well as a GM. We had some ridiculous fucking ideas that you were just like, all right, fuck it, I'll roll with this.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, in that Star Wars campaign, there was one mission. We were essentially supposed to sneak into a place and steal an item and like sneak back out.
That was
So
a shit show.
yeah, exactly. Instead, what happened was it me and Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Dan ended up starting a prison riot that like caused like this whole camp to like melt down, and it just got crazy from there. And Chris was just like, "All right, well, let's roll with it and see where it goes."
Yeah, and that's what's so fun about it, and that's what I love doing, because as a dungeon master, as a game master, you have to be flexible. I mean, there's some people that like a stringent, you know, storyline, stick to it, but I like to start the first session with a pretty set story. You know, they're in a prison or they're somewhere.
Which even that got away from you.
It definitely can. But like, start them off in something that really leads them in the right direction, get them to the main story. But at that point, I'm going to have a journal of so many side quests, because you know what? Maybe we don't want to go steal this item. Maybe we want to blow a hole in the side of this building and try and fight a level 15 Sith right at the beginning. So you gotta
We
be.
did it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did.
They got lucky for sure.
It was great fun. We did it.
But it's one of those things that's really fun, because as a DM, that's what makes it fun for me, is coming into the unexpected, when they're like, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, fuck, okay, let me flip through here and see if I can find something. And a lot of times, sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna fuck these guys up.
I'll say
This is gonna be great.
I'll say this for any aspiring DMs out there: lesson 1, say yes.
Yes.
Like, obviously,
Improv rules.
online,
Improv rules apply.
get used to saying yes.
Yeah, it makes it more fun for your players if you're willing to be like, all right, you know what, let's roll with this. This is going to be a lot of fun, and it's fun because you can, you know, if you have stuff set up to do some side quests, let them do that. Integrate those in a way that they can tie into what your players are trying to do.
Well, and not just that, but part of the fun of D&D is just the fact that it's all player driven.
It really is.
It's not one of those things. If you try and control it, just like video games. If you have a video game on rails, the players don't really associate with it. They
Yeah.
kind of get pissed off because like you're being guided through this
Which is
adventure.
why games like the Elder Scrolls series or GTA are so popular.
Exactly.
They
It's
throw you
this
in a
open world.
give
You
you
can
a general
literally
direction.
do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll have to reap the consequences, but part of the fun is you can literally just kind of do whatever.
Yeah, and it's really great. And like I said, as a DM myself, it's something that I really enjoy, because if you can make it enjoyable for the players, you're going to have a blast. And sometimes, you know, if they get out of control, throw throw 30 stormtroopers at them. Fuck them. You know, you can do so many fun things as a DM.
Which even then, that didn't work for you. Sometimes.
That's true. But
they think they can take the world, hit them with the world.
Exactly, and it's a lot of fun. And if you like storytelling and you like being flexible, being a DM can be some of the most fun you can have.
Exactly. And actually, I'm going to take a moment, and again, this isn't sponsored or anything like that, but I want to throw a shout out to actually a Tumblr blog.
All right.
Out of Context D&D.
Yes.
So if you guys are into D&D or you think you're interested or something like that, just check this out. It's a bunch of just hilarious quotes that are really only possible in Dungeons and Dragons or similar style games. It's hilarious. It's a fun read. I just recommend it.
But yeah, it's so much fun, and you can be so creative. It's a great outlet if you like telling stories, and even if you just want to play a character, it's really fun. And I would suggest anyone that's ever played D&D that's never been a DM, take a stab at it, because you'll be surprised. I love playing a single character, and it's a lot of fun.
It takes a lot more work in planning than you might think.
It does. There's a lot of work in planning. Yeah, there's a lot of work in planning, but you essentially get to play as many characters as you want. Like I would make like 15 or 20 characters of varying levels and different abilities, and you get to play your own characters as the DM, which makes it really fun.
Right.
And you can really, some of my characters would bosses, some of them would just be random NPCs that you could run into and do things with, but it makes it a lot of fun. And there's so many creative things, and it's not just Dungeons and Dragons.
And 80% of those the players will never meet.
Yeah, and it's
they'll run off and do their own thing.
Exactly. So it's a lot of work. A lot of your work will go unnoticed, and it doesn't go unnoticed. It's behind the
honestly,
scenes.
I will say it doesn't go unnoticed, because that's the thing. Especially once you've been playing for a little bit, you kind of start to recognize the good DMs and the bad ones.
Oh, yeah.
And
definitely.
If you put in work as a DM, like again, Chris, I've got to give you credit. You put in a lot of work when you were DMing our game, and it definitely was noticed. I mean, it was definitely, we would go off and do some stupid fucking bullshit. There was already a plan in place. Like, that was what made it so much fun.
Well, and that's what's fun for me, is when you can make the experience seamless, and it really that's when you make, because D&D can be such an open world experience. So it's really fun when you can go seamlessly, when they do something that you don't expect, which happens all the time.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong. Chris would get flustered when we would do something. He's just like, God damn it, you assholes. There was an easy way out of this situation.
But it's really fun because you get to just, when you make it that seamless transition and really make it feel like they can do anything in a game, it's super rewarding for you, and it's super fun for the people playing.
What a lot of people don't realize about DMing, actually, is it's not about telling a story, it's about world building. Like, you don't focus on one story or where you want the characters to go. You put them in a world with different possibilities, even if you have to just take ideas from something like Skyrim or what have you for a side quest, and just set the people loose. And that's a general idea of where to go, but otherwise just let them in there.
Well, and again, I think that's why some of the stuff like that Star Wars RPG we played, or one of the other ones I've played with a few other friends is the Wheel of Time RPG.
Yeah.
There's already an established world.
I used to read that series.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, so good.
I admittedly stopped after Robert Jordan died.
Oh,
so.
You should finish it.
I have the first book that Brandon Sanderson wrote post Jordan.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Like, Sanderson did a good job finishing out the series.
Did he? Okay.
But anyway, back to what I was saying with, you have these already established worlds, so you don't have to focus as much on the world building.
Definitely.
So then it just becomes a game and imagination. What do I know about the world? How can I make this fun for the players? And where do we go from here?
Yeah, and I do have to say, if anyone is familiar with Monty Cook, he was originally worked on a lot of D&D stuff, and he actually has his own RPG that he just came out called Numenera. I'm in love with this world. I would highly, highly suggest checking out Numenera. It's one book. It actually has a beginning campaign in it for you. It sets the world up for you, has all the character information. The character sheets are a work of art.
Oh, they are beautiful for character
They are
sheets.
so beautiful. You just like cringe writing on it because they are so gorgeous. But if you like any kind of tabletop RPGs, Numenera is well worth checking into. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Devin for introducing it to me, knowing that I was a huge D&D fan. It's such an amazing, intricate world. There's amazing lore behind it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a sci-fi / fantasy, which you don't see done well a lot, but it is I have to say, one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, and it's definitely the upcoming for our next RPG. We'll be doing that, and hopefully, maybe we can post some videos online on it. It would be really fun, but that'll be the next campaign that we do is a Numenera campaign. So check it
out. Excuse me. On that note, we do have our Twitch channel.
Yes,
and Twitch does have a thing for tabletop gaming now.
They do.
So maybe that's something we could do when we get that game going. Is we could start live streaming that on Twitch for you guys if anyone's interested.
And to all our fans, let us know if that's something you'd love to see. If you guys would like, if there's any content you'd like to see, we have a YouTube channel, a Twitch page. We do have some upcoming shows coming up for our YouTube page, so be sure to subscribe and check it out. Again, shameless plug,
right?
But subscribe, check it out because we have some really cool stuff. We're actually going to be doing a series on League of Legends LCS. So that's gonna be a lot of fun with the tournament coming up for Summer Split this next week.
Yeah,
we're gonna get an intro show in, get that up. So keep your eyes out for that. It's gonna be really great.
Yeah, that show will actually be with one of our really good friends.
A new challenger approaches.
Right? No, he's one of the most knowledgeable League of Legends people I know. He's one of the nicest people I know. So yeah, definitely check that one out once we start getting that one rolling.
Yeah, definitely be sure to check it out. So, but yeah, if you guys would like to see us do some live streams of any specific games or doing a live stream on any kind of tabletop RPG, let us know. We're more than happy to get in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, definitely would suggest it out. But yeah, so check out Numenera. Go check out Roll20 if you want to play. You know, if all your buddies from college are all in different places and you guys want to get a game, check out Roll20. It's really, really great. There's a free platform for it. You can do a subscription. There's a lot of really great features on there. I highly suggest checking it out. So I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Anthony for his topic of the week.
Well, so again, with my topic of the week, I generally try and go with some sort of engineering or something along those lines. So this week, I'm kind of going to delve into some of like the Tesla controversy and just kind of get a feel for how you guys feel about it. So with Tesla, they've been running into some trouble recently with a couple of the accidents their vehicles have been in. And I'm just curious, what do you guys think about autonomous driving?
You know, it's something that it's going to happen, and especially with all the work that Google's doing, that Tesla's doing, there's a lot of work being done on it, and it's going to get to a point where that is much safer than human drivers. It will.
Well, and I would argue it already is.
Yeah.
Because we've only really had maybe 2 headlines with a potential flaw in autonomous driving.
Accentuate the negative.
Yeah, exactly. But that's already after thousands upon thousands of hours of autonomous driving.
Yeah.
So, again, it's one of those things, I haven't really deep dived into any of the statistics behind it, but I really feel that autonomous driving really is the way of the future.
It is. I mean, it's scary to think of because, I mean, we as humans like to maintain control of what we're doing. So it's a scary thing to look at and think about. But I think, you know, in the future, it's going to be one of those things that you're going to increase your productivity because you're going to be able to do things while your car's driving. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a lot safer once. I mean, we're years and years away from that being a widespread thing, but it will become safer. It will save lives. I think it's really important. And we need to embrace technology. A lot of people are scared of change and things coming up, but things like this that could really benefit humans and save countless lives. I mean, automobile crashes are one of the highest causes of death in the country.
That's true.
I mean, it's a very dangerous thing, and it's something that can control the human factor, which is the issue in 90% of accidents. Obviously, there is the issues with mechanical malfunctions and things like that.
Well, and again, you know, so even if a sensor fails or something like that, then, yeah, you know, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is autonomous driving is going to be better than someone drunk driving or someone driving while tired.
Yeah.
Or, you know, any numerous amounts of things. Because I've driven cross-country a couple times, and I know, especially my most recent one, it wasn't my longest one, but, you know, it was my most recent, and I drove from California back over here to Colorado, and that was about a 13-hour drive. And I know by the end, I was tired, I was exhausted, I really wasn't paying attention the way I should.
Yeah.
But if you have, like, autonomous driving, especially once you get past that 6, 7, 8 hour mark, just flip that on, take a nap for an hour or two, you can, you know, take back control or something like that. I definitely see a lot of potential there.
Definitely.
Obviously, there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement.
Will.
And honestly, the ultimate end state is when everything is autonomously driven and all the computers are talking to each other.
Yeah.
Because then there's really almost zero chance for failure. I'm not going to commit to zero chance for failure because,
course.
again, there's always something could disastrously go wrong. But it's definitely something that I feel is in the future. And then, one of the nice things about that, too, is by removing the human factor, you can start getting cars that go 300, 400 miles an hour on the interstate.
Yeah,
because they're all talking to each other, they're all communicating, they're all paying attention.
Yeah.
That's beyond the scope of control for a human, well, for most humans. Obviously, like F1 drivers that regularly do that, that's a whole different thing. But for a standard human just driving about their day, that's beyond the scope of control for someone that they are able to handle.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that there's so many daily distractions. I'm looking at you, Pokemon Go. We're all guilty of this, but there's so many daily distractions with just a smartphone in general, with all the new features that are coming in cars, having even semi-autonomous driving like you were talking about, and having things that help prevent it. And there's cars coming out with that, with the auto brake systems and stuff, things that help remove the human factor. Because humans are unpredictable, we're easily distracted, there's a lot of things that can happen.
But see, that's kind of where I'm on the fence about is, yeah, it's great technology that's going to be kind of the future of transportation, but it's still a fledgling industry, and there is that unpredictable human factor. There will be hackers.
Well, and not just that, though, but I mean, even
there are people who will abuse this.
But even then, you look back, and there's this kind of classic story on the internet. I'm not really sure if it's true or not. I haven't done any research on it. Mm-hmm. But there's that classic story on the internet of the only 2 drivers in the state of Ohio back in the early days of the automobile got into a car accident. Yep. I mean, it's early technology. Yeah, there's going to be flaws. But that shouldn't mean you should just kind of okay, hey, this is flawed, let's stop.
Yeah,
it should be this is flawed, let's fix it.
Definitely.
I'm thinking more from the outside factor, like people who will try to cause car crashes. Things like that. Like, you look at games like Watch Dogs kind of touches on it.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. And that's
not so much the technology
topic
itself, but the people who are trying to break it.
Yeah.
Now, you're opening Pandora's box here talking to me about cybersecurity. I hope you realize that.
Oh, I know.
Because you realize even then,
it needs to be talked about.
All right, you know what? We will save that conversation for another podcast because I'm about to go off. But...
And it's one of those things.
Anthony's forte.
This was my specialty for fucking 7 goddamn years. Yeah, no, we will go off on this later.
Yeah, and there's always, you can always say, oh, there's that one person, oh, there's that one factor, but there's always the factor. There's always a factor. You
right.
Could, you never, people drinking, that when you get drunk and you drive, it's gonna, you are taking the chance of killing someone. You're making that conscious decision. At the same time, there's people that you can always say, oh my god, what about a person that doesn't want to live anymore and they decide they want to run into someone else and take someone,
Right.
You can always make those arguments, but the percentage is so small.
Well, and not just that, and I'm sorry, Matt kind of pissed me off, so I'm going to go off on this for a little bit. So, people can already hack your car. There have already been demonstrations at DEF CON and Black Hat and all that, where people have shown, hey, I can literally use Bluetooth, hack in your car, start the ignition, and start just driving down. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, hey, I can hack in your car, take over the GPS, and start, disabling some of these extra features. That's just the nature of basically technology, quote-unquote, invading our lives. You're vulnerable to people that are smarter than you.
Yeah, very much so.
And I'm not saying it's terrible, it should stop all the technology being developed, or that it won't be an issue.
No, and I get that. You just touched on your
Sorry.
Anthony going all crazy.
Because Chris brought up, the lack of control. It's scarier to have, some other human controlling what your car is doing than the car itself. And there will be those people, and that's an issue that they will think about, they will fix to the best of their ability.
Oh, yeah.
There will be firewalls, there will be all sorts of fail-safes. But it's just one of those things where until they get that done, they have to be very careful about it.
Yeah, and that's very true.
Well, and again, that kind of comes down to, sorry, kind of nerding out into my area a little bit. That kind of comes down to the engineering process. If you have engineers that are willing to take shortcuts, or, how do we implement this feature the quickest or the cheapest way possible, then, there's going to be holes, there's going to be vulnerabilities. And there's this thing I like referencing. I don't even know what it's called, but it's one of those, you can pick 2. You can have it cheap. You can have it cheap. You can have it fast, or you can have quality. You get to pick 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's very true for anything. I mean, even beyond technology, that's very true for everything, and it's important to to realize that. So,
which part of the Venn diagram do you want to point to?
Exactly.
Exactly. So now I'm going to kind of roll into our countdown for the week this week.
Roll like cars. Shut up, Matt.
So we have a really fun countdown this week. We've kind of talked about music in some of our earlier podcasts, but it's something that we're all very passionate about because we all know the impact it can have on a story.
Oh, yeah.
So this week we're going to talk about our individual top 5 video game soundtracks, and this is OSTs. So it excludes anything like Rock Band, a lot of stuff on Grand Theft Auto, because those aren't OSTs. So
Star
we're looking
Wars
at
games. Licensed music is out.
So we're counting out the licensed music. We're looking at OSTs. So I'm going to go ahead and toss this one over
Original
to
soundtrack for anyone wondering.
yeah, Matt coming in to fill everyone in, which is the only filling he's doing. Hey, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and toss this one over to Anthony to get us started on his top 5.
So I know mine are going to be kind of out there and a little different from what most people might consider, but these are all soundtracks that have had a lot of impact for me personally and soundtracks that I really enjoy.
Yeah, these lists are not the definitive best that we think or the most iconic or pandering. These are our personal.
Yes, definitely.
More
We'll
so
make
than
that
other
clear.
And again, I know it's supposed to be a top 5, but I'm going to list mine in no particular order.
Okay.
So I'm going to kick it off with, and this one is probably my favorite, but Mass Effect 3. So, and really just the whole Mass Effect soundtrack. The reason I specifically picked Mass Effect 3 is just that Leaving Earth theme.
Such a great track.
Exactly. Just the despair and then the Reaper horns in the background. And
it's
just
very emotional.
It's very good.
Wonderful.
And especially... Alright, you know what? I'm not even going to say spoiler alert because if you haven't played Mass Effect 3 by now, you're just bad. But like that scene where you first hear it, and it's Commander Shepard, and he's basically abandoning this boy on Earth as this kid's like basically getting destroyed by the Reapers.
Yeah,
and it's this it's phenomenal. It's a really, really, really great track.
Well, I mean, you're only spoiling the beginning.
And I'm going to spoil another thing, so sorry for this, but the death of Morden. Again, that's another point. Where the music
and then
really,
honestly,
or Legion,
or the Elusive Man theme, or all of those. Like Mass Effect has been phenomenal with their music, and I feel like that's been a major part of the success of the franchise.
Yeah, it's been really good. I've really enjoyed those soundtracks for sure.
Oh yeah. And then my next one, I'm going to have to go with World of Warcraft.
Of course.
Right? Well, and see, here's the thing. And it's not even just an of course, me as a World of Warcraft fan. And I'm going to say specifically Wrath of the Lich King.
Okay, all right.
Because all the music for there I really enjoyed. Like the Grizzly Hills, where you have like the violin or whatever that was in the background, was just really well done.
Yeah.
Howling Fjord. And they're very like kind of like Viking inspired, music.
Which was I do have to say that was super awesome. It was very. I mean, it built up this huge epic scope because Lich King was it was huge. It was the first to me. It was one of the first big things they did because they had all these huge like instances, all these huge areas, these big towers. Yeah,
and then and on that one, honestly, one of probably my favorite pieces of video game music is Invincible.
Oh yeah,
the Arthas theme from Wrath of the Lich King,
which was super solid.
Oh my god! And like especially when and again, Wrath of the Lich King was one of the first expansions where I really started getting into raiding.
All right,
like I kind of started raiding in BC, but Wrath was the first time I was like kind of serious about it.
Yeah,
and the first time you down the Lich King, and then you get that cinematic with that soundtrack in the background, and you're just like, oh. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
It was all worth it.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I have to give props where props are due. World of Warcraft has a great, great soundtrack. And even like some of their less popular expansions have had really good music.
Well, Pandaria, as much shit as Pandaria gets, that the music was really solid.
Exactly.
They had a lot. They did a lot of research into the Asian cultures and a lot of the music and stuff. So they did a great job on that. Pandaria was great. I loved the music.
Yeah. So World of Warcraft, just by and large, I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of their music. My next one, again, another Blizzard title. I'm going to go with StarCraft.
I will agree 100% on that one.
StarCraft is awesome.
It is a great soundtrack.
Well, and the thing
so
about
much of it in middle
StarCraft,
school.
especially, and this is the thing you'll notice about me, I tend to prefer campaign games. I'm not a huge multiplayer kind of person.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Because
So
if you
when-
don't have the people around to play it with, you can still play it.
Exactly. And I feel that was one thing that StarCraft really nailed was their soundtrack for their campaign.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
the theme you listen to as Tassadar, like Matt mentioned last time, as Tassadar is flying into the Overmind.
I got
It's
chills
just like,
just
yeah,
thinking about
exactly, exactly.
I love
Or even like going forward into StarCraft 2, and just the Jim and Kerrigan theme every time there's a flashback.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Blizzard, I feel, has done a fantastic job scoring all of their titles.
Scores and cinematics. Blizzard
Yeah.
is the king of cinematics. Oh
Yes.
my god.
All right, and so that's enough Blizzard for me. I am a Blizzard fanboy, but that's enough Blizzard on my list. The next one I'm going to go with is actually Kingdom Hearts.
All right.
And the thing I really appreciated about Kingdom Hearts, and again, so there was some licensed stuff in there because you had the Final Fantasy music,
Yeah.
you had some of the Disney music,
They kind of remixed it.
but
tweaked
then
it,
you
so-
also had, and what I really appreciated was you kind of almost had J-pop in there a lot of the time. And so you had like the J-pop for the opening and like closing themes, and that was really, I feel, kind of brought a lot of that to the stateside. Like Simple and Clean is one of the best openers for a video game I've ever seen, and the way they tied it in with the cinematic for Kingdom Hearts was phenomenal.
And we all know
So-
Anthony's very excited for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, I am so pumped for Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's a good year for him.
Right?
My experience with that series is about 10 minutes of Chain of Memories, so I'm very much out of the know.
Oh man, you've got to play it. They've got the 1.5 and 2.5 remix.
Mhm.
So essentially, they're like the collections of all the Kingdom Hearts games
Yeah, the updated.
for modern consoles. Play them. At least play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. They are worth your time. I promise you.
Okay.
And I have to admit, I've only played Dream Drop Distance, and it kind of left a nasty taste in my mouth. I was
Yeah,
not a
well,
fan of that game.
And that's the thing. Like you've got to play the main games. Like the extra games are just to fill in like extra story and to kind
Yeah.
of get some more background.
All right.
But yeah, no, play 1 and 2. I cannot say enough good things about
I'll add
those
that
games.
to my list. I
Yeah.
will check those out.
And then number 5, Halo.
Okay.
Yep.
Like Halo,
Absolutely,
especially just Halo 2 and the Mjolnir mix is just phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely... Hey,
Uh,
I mean, the first time I booted up Halo, sitting on
Yeah.
my Xbox, nerdy little teenager, booting that up and that music was just like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
You get the,
Yeah.
like,
I liked it.
it's,
Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
dun.
It was like, you had like this opera with like this rock, and it really left an impact
Oh,
on
yeah,
you,
yeah.
and it
And
got
it
you
kind of
so
gave
pumped.
this sense of urgency to the game and everything.
And
Yeah.
this all came from our middle school days as well, so very impactful on our childhoods.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely was a huge, definitely yeah, it was great. It got you amped. You were pumped. You were going in, shooting grunts, taking names. It got you pumped.
Yeah.
Halo did a great job of that for sure on their score.
Yeah, so that's my list. Again, not really in any particular order, aside from maybe Mass Effect at the top.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump into mine. Very, very different from Anthony's. Not to
All
say
three
his
of
aren't
ours are
good.
a little out.
Yeah,
For each
very
other.
different, and we all have different reasons for it. And we'd love to hear from you guys. Hit us up on our Facebook or our Twitter. Let us know what some of your favorite game soundtracks are. We'd love to hear from you. But for me, my number 5 coming in, and this had a huge impact on my childhood. It was one of those scores that it was very unique because it was on an old system, but nonetheless left a huge impact, and that's Chrono Trigger.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
I could definitely.
I
see
think
Chrono
we
that.
Trigger
can-
would make my top 10. It just barely didn't make the cut for my 5.
Well, it made my top 5, so suck it.
oh no, I would
Sure,
agree with you.
man.
That is an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah, and for really early on in gaming, it was phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
there were points where that soundtrack it would hit you right in the stomach. I mean, I'm not
Oh,
gonna,
yeah.
I
Like,
everything
there's a
about
certain
it.
scene about 2/3 of the way through the game that just punches you in the gut.
It does, and it was so because you had very like uppity Mario, and Metroid had kind of an ominous feel to it,
Yeah.
but they were very. I don't want to say generic. They've become generic now because they
Right.
set the standards. But Chrono Trigger just really stands out to me in every possible way, and there were so many emotions that it touched on. At the beginning, it was very happy and upbeat. During the action sequences, it was like very up. Got you going, it got you amped.
Yeah.
And
that game
then
has some of the best just generic RPG battle music.
It does. And then for some of those heartbreaking moments, I mean, phenomenal. It was great. So, Chrono Trigger coming in at number 5 for me. On my number 4, and this one was a struggle between my number 4 and number 3. They went back and forth a lot. My number 4 is Red Dead Redemption. Okay. Now, what really makes this soundtrack stand out to me is there are so many, you go to the towns, you're doing the quests, you do a lot of stuff, but there are so many instances where it's you and your horse, or just you, walking across these huge open fields, these huge, beautiful landscapes, and all you have is the music. Mm-hmm. And that music just, it's such a big part of that game because it makes the environments. It really ties everything together, and it just, these amazing soundtracks with this open, beautiful areas. It's so great, and because it's just you by yourself in these open areas, this music just, it tells you how you need to feel, and it tells you, it's amazing. I think it's the fact that there's so many times where you are just out there on your horse and that music is playing is just amazing.
Well, plus that was just a fun game.
It was. I really, really enjoyed that game too. But yeah, that music the music was great, especially in that ending sequence. Just break your heart. Really, really good. So yeah, Red Dead,
emotional punch.
Very much so. So Red Dead Redemption coming at my number 4. Really enjoyed it.
On that note, Matt, I'm going to address that real quick. Music is meant to be emotional.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like that's why I picked the ones I did, because music's supposed to convey emotion.
I'll give you that. When I say emotional, I mean like sad, kind of more poignant moments.
Yeah.
They can evoke sadness, happiness, rage.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why music is so important. And that's why we're discussing this right now, because we all have, I mean, they've all had different impacts on us. And, you can hear us talking about Anthony's stuff. Like, we all understand exactly why those are in his top 5.
Right.
Like, we get it. So, coming in at number 3, this game just altogether, like, make you cry.
Speaking of emotional music.
Yes, speaking of emotional music. And this has to be said. Kangao, he did this soundtrack all by himself, and he also made this game, To the Moon.
Yep.
God damn.
This game...
Talk about a knife to the gut.
Yeah. An indie game, one guy... I made with RPG Maker, and the story was beautiful and gut-wrenching. The music did exactly what it needed to do in every single frame of that game.
I was so fucking pissed at you for telling me to play that
game. If you've got a weak heart, probably don't play it. But it is one of the most heartwarming yet heart-shattering, depressing games. If you want, people say
it is worth the play though.
You don't have to have a multi-million-dollar huge studio game to tell an amazing story and have a great soundtrack. To the Moon, it is beautiful, it's haunting, and just gut-wrenching in all the right moments. So, To the Moon coming in at number 3. Oh my god. It's great. So, coming in at number 2, it's not specifically one game because it really all ties together for me. Legend of Zelda.
Oh yeah.
I mean, from my childhood, all the way back in the days of Zelda, the first Zelda, A Link to the Past.
I swear to God, you only have to play one fucking note of Epona's song, and I immediately know what's going on. It's
definitely probably one of the most iconic pieces of music. We all know it. I mean, you have Zelda's Lullaby from Ocarina. You have the Overworld theme. You have a lot of things they stand out, and everyone knows what that is. But
I'm going to correct you before anyone gets pissed off. Zelda's Lullaby started as, I think, the Sage theme in A Link to the Past.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, that is true.
Even just the treasure chest sound.
Yeah, but there's just everything in that.
Progress when a door opens.
Yeah,
there's so many musical cues, just even beyond the soundtrack, But the soundtrack's beautiful. I mean, it's so epic. That's what I love about it.
Yeah,
you're roaming across Hyrule Field in Ocarina. Epic. You're riding your boat across the ocean in Wind Waker. Epic. You're in this nasty dungeon in Twilight Princess. Epic. It has such an epic feel. And then it rolls right into your boss fights. Again, epic boss music. So, Legend of Zelda got my number 2. I'm a huge fan of Zelda.
I will say, every time I think of Zelda music, for me, it really does always go back to Ocarina of Time and just that, the splash screen at the very beginning.
Well, I
It
mean,
starts off with Link on Epona riding through Hyrule.
And the
Field.
music
Majora's
was-
Mask also was a really good
Yeah.
title
and the
screen.
music was integral to both of those. The main
yeah.
theme of the game is music with the ocarina that's tied across both games. So,
Defeat Ganon with the power of rock.
but yeah, so huge fan. That's my number 2. My number 1 is going to be. I think it might catch some people off guard, especially with some of the other stuff I've gone through. A lot of my list, other than To the Moon being indie, are some pretty big games that I've done. My number 1 is Bloodborne.
Okay.
So
I can see that.
Fanboy.
There's a lot of games right now. There's a lot, there's lots of RPGs. There's lots of these big games. But the thing that is so off-putting about Bloodborne and great in the music is it's really the game is silent except for like when you're fighting, you get like the enemy effects and that kind of stuff. But there's not really any music going on.
It's all ambient sounds.
Yeah, it's all ambient. And then you walk into a boss fight and it just amps up with some of the most epic, most terrifying music you can get.
That Cleric Beast theme is just amazing.
And
that's
it's
the first boss.
It's the first boss, and you get this amazing piece of music for it.
I still need to play that one.
Yeah, and what's
Or the
really
final
great
boss theme.
is every single boss, like the boss's personality is in each piece of music, which is so cool. You don't have rehashed like battle music on every single boss fight. Each boss, the music is tailored to the boss.
On that note, Cleric Beast and Vicar Amelia do share the same theme, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Every other boss,
but
though, with maybe 1 or 2 other exceptions.
there's so much, and the Dark Souls series is very near and dear to my heart as well. I mean, Gwen's theme is amazing, but Bloodborne really stands out because it adds so much personality to every single boss, to what you're doing, to the entire atmosphere. I love it. So Bloodborne takes my personal number 1 spot. So super cool, love it. If you want to check out the game, I would suggest it. And then I'm going to go ahead and send over to Matt for his top 5.
All right, my number 5, I don't expect either of you to have much of anything to weigh in on, but my number 5 soundtrack is Toho 7 Perfect Cherry Blossom.
Already, shut up, Matt.
I do have to say, Matt's shown me a lot of that music, and it's
a lot of
Well,
stuff.
the
It's good.
thing that always cracks me up about Matt will just go like the most like left field obscure nonsense. It's just like, you should try this. I was like, I've never even.
in Matt's defense,
Okay,
and he's
for
told me
Anthony's
this a
sake,
million
it's
things.
Vertical scrolling bullet hell game. Things like Gradius.
Okay.
Things like that.
But,
and in the vein of To the Moon, it is a series made almost entirely by one guy.
Yeah.
With the exception of side games.
So
Like
I
the music,
have
the gameplay, the character designs.
I have to give this to Matt, and he's told me this many times. Toho's huge in Japan.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
it
it's
has
huge.
Well,
an
and that's the thing,
enormous
like,
cult following. Like, enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Look up fan art for any game on the internet. Be careful of where you are on the internet, but nothing will reach the amount that Toho has. But yeah, Perfect Cherry Blossom in general, it has a just very beautiful soundtrack. Things like Border of Life for the final boss. The very first stage theme is I think Paradise Deep Mountain is the name of it.
Okay.
Even the title screen. I'll let you guys listen to a couple pieces after the fact, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
As soon as I stick
that's
to
good.
Anthony. But just that's a great.
Well, you know me. I'm always down to try new things. I've just got to rip on you.
Yeah. It's okay. I pushed all your buttons before we get the security. My number 4 is Super Smash Bros. Melee.
All right.
I spent countless hours with my brother, my friends playing that in high school, and just, I don't know, even more so than the first soundtrack or Brawl or Smash Bros. 4. Just Melee stands out to me. A lot of it is nostalgia, but I look back at the Mute City remix
Yeah.
on stage. That to me is Smash Bros. Right there.
Yeah.
Well,
I love it. It just gets me pumped every time I
and
hear
with
it.
Smash Bros, like we all played hundreds and hundreds of hours of
Way
Melee.
more than I can count.
And that, like, I know for me, and you guys speak up if this isn't the truth, but the music never got old to me.
Yeah.
Like, it really did a
Never
good
was.
job of, like, music that you would hear countless numbers of times still being entertaining and adding a lot of value to the game.
Fighting
Yeah.
games actually need really good scores too, along with other stuff like you
Yeah.
mentioned Red Dead Redemption. It's just you and the
Which,
music.
Yeah. Very
shout
much so.
out, honorable mention, Mortal Kombat for soundtrack.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
they do
that
some
is
good
one of the most iconic pieces of
Right.
music in the video game industry, for sure.
Like that very classic Mortal Kombat theme from way back in the day.
Oh yeah,
You hear that, you're like, yep.
You get pumped
That's
and
the one.
you're ready to rip
Shit's about
someone's...
to get real.
You're ready to rip someone's spine out.
And then my number 3 matching up with Anthony is Halo, specifically the first one.
All right.
Like
Yeah.
I hear that theme every time I get pumped to play the game.
Yeah,
Just It's hard to add.
So good. So good.
Oh, yeah. And it's very unique soundtrack. A lot of chorus, a lot of electric guitar, especially in the sequels.
Yeah, it was like Chris said, it's kind of
one.
like rock meets opera, which was really, really well done, too.
And I like opera rock.
Yeah.
Rock opera. Like,
Rock
I like
opera.
Nightwish, so...
Good
stuff.
about Rock Lobster.
It's okay.
Shut up, Anthony.
I like other B-52 songs more, but it's okay.
Oh, you know what? Fine. Changing that. Favorite soundtrack doesn't count because it's not an OST.
God.
Donkey Konga.
Oh my god. Let's get back to Matt's list.
Right. And then my number 2 actually connects a bit with Chris. In the vein of Bloodborne, my number 2 is Dark Souls.
There we go.
Chris brought up Gwyn's theme. That is a big one for me. The nameless song in the credits. Ornstein and Smo is maybe my favorite boss theme in the game. Just
and Dark
that
Souls.
building opening theme in this.
That again, that ties back to what I said about Bloodborne. Same studio, very much like those pieces
From
of music.
Software are great.
They do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah. Then just all that. All that ambient noise when you're going through just random areas, and then you get to a boss fight, and suddenly, oh shit, it's on.
Yeah.
Like, you have a few more subdued pieces, like Gwendolyn and the Moonlight Butterfly shared the same theme. Sif's is very melancholic.
I hate Moonlight Butterfly and Gwendolyn are the worst. I hate them both.
Yeah, but Sif has a very melancholic theme, similar to Gwen. You got Artorias. I could go on the list.
It's fantastic. It's so good.
And my number 1, unlike Chris, I can narrow this down to one game, is Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Taking my number 2 spot 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, there we go.
I like woodwind instruments. I do. And Wind Waker obviously uses a lot of them.
It's great, yeah.
It has a lot of great remixes on classic Zelda themes. The Great Sea is my favorite version of Hyrule Field. It has probably my favorite version of Zelda's theme. And a lot of the boss music, especially Mulgara, I think. The one in the Wind Temple. Speaking of the Wind Temple.
Yeah.
The staff roll to Wind Waker is probably just my favorite piece of music in a game.
Yeah, it's really... The soundtrack
it's
for
the perfect ending.
Wind Waker's so
such
good.
A great, like, coming-of-age story.
Yeah, definitely.
An epic adventure.
Yeah, I love it. Super love it.
Wonderful.
So those are our top 5s. Let us know on Facebook, Twitter. Give us a shout out. Let us know what you guys think, some of your top 5s, and we'd love to talk about it and hear what you guys have to think. So that's going to kind of lead us into our third topic of the night from Matt, where he's going to talk a little bit about Pokemon Sun and Moon. Lots of announcements this week.
Yes, speaking of Nintendo stuff, a lot of stuff on Sun and Moon. But, let's see, where should I start? I guess there will be some new forms, actually. Alola forms. Alola, I think, is the new
region,
for Sun and Moon, based on Hawaii, which is kind of an interesting take. But Alola forms for a few Generation 1 Pokemon. You have Executor, which looks hilarious now.
Yeah,
he's a tall-ass palm tree. He's a 9-foot neck. He's amazing.
I love him. I absolutely... Like, he's getting some...
To that guy.
Yeah, he's great. And check him out. Go to, like, Bulbapedia or something. Check out the new Executor form. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
And then a couple of favorites of ours, or at least mine, are Vulpix and Sandshrew, and their evolutions are now ice types there.
Yes. And
that is pretty cool.
Ice
Specifically,
Vulpix.
Vulpix is ice, Ninetales is ice and fairy, Sandshrew and Sandslash are ice and steel.
Which is super
are
cool.
all unique types.
Yeah.
Unique, combinations, at least, which are super cool.
Yeah. And I love the design for Vulpix and Ninetales. Vulpix and Ninetales is one of my top 5 Pokemon, so really, really love what they're doing with the Alola forms.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. So I'm curious to... Well, I'm sure there will be more, but I'm curious what else will get new forms. And then a bunch of new Pokemon announced. There are a good 6 or 7, but of note to me in particular is the Bird Oricorio, I think it's called. It has 4 different forms, 4 different looks, and each of them has different typings based around different dances. Like, you have one that's, I think, maybe electric flying. It's based on a cheerleader. Looks hilarious. You have one that's ghost and flying, one that's psychic, and I think the other one's fire. It's super cool. And I like Mudbray.
Yes,
it's this little
Mudbray.
like, mule. That thing just looks so dopey to me. I enjoy it. It's fun.
See, I'm not going to lie, I haven't really kept up with any of the newer Pokemon games. I mean, I kind of stopped after... Really, I'd say probably Ruby was really the last one I actually played through.
You've been missing a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and Matt and I are both pretty avid Pokemon fans, so we've both played through all the games, and
I did take a break from the series between Crystal and Heart Gold and Soul Silver, so Ruby and Sapphire weren't too appealing to me. Like, I have the least connection there, and I actually wasn't a huge fan of Diamond and Pearl, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been in the game for almost its entire run.
And I know this is one thing the internet has been crazed about is one of the new Pokemon that people have just like fallen in love with is Mimikyu. It's mimicking a Pikachu basically.
That thing looks like a child drew that based off of a nightmare.
Yeah, and I love it, and it's great because it's kind of a sad story to the Pokemon. Like, it wants to be loved, and Pikachu has this huge fan base, and they kind of played off of a lot of that, and so it mimics a Pikachu. I mean, it's really great. It's a Ghost Fairy type, definitely. There's so many
Another
more
cool,
too.
Unique typing.
Yeah, another really cool unique typing.
I'm waiting to
just
see
super
the
cool
final forms of the starters, because that's usually what determines who's going to start with what.
Yeah, definitely. And we're all going to make our decisions on what we're going to start, what we're going to do, and we'll keep you guys updated as we get closer to the release of the Pokemon Sun and Moon for sure.
Yeah.
But more news from the new stuff that came out are Z moves, or what they're called, which are these big super moves. So far, they've only shown off 4. They said there will be 1 for every type, but they show off the ones for electric, fire, grass, and water. Obviously, the starters. That fire one looks brutal.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's called something like Inferno Overdrive. Which immediately makes you think, wow, that's something you'd see from One Punch Man.
No, that's a straight up Japanese anime name if I've ever heard one.
I don't know what the Japanese names are. Those are the translated ones.
Right.
So I'm curious.
Yeah,
Those are interesting.
There's some really cool. So yeah, we'll keep you guys up to date on a lot of the new Pokemon news coming in. Me and Matt are both really excited. We're, again, like I said, avid Pokemon fans, and
also, before any gym leaders are announced, I don't know if they'll keep that system, but there are also island challenges.
Yeah, which is super cool. I love that they're starting to integrate some new stuff there, and they're obviously using the same style that they've used for X and Y, and then Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. So
yeah,
I love the new graphic look to it. Really, really fun.
If you use the gym leaders, I'll say I'm still holding out for a Dark type gym because there's still nothing.
Matt's just waiting.
I'm waiting for a Dark type gym and a Poison type legendary. I've been holding out for
a long time.
long time.
But yeah, so it's super great. We'll keep you guys up to date on the Pokemon news and stuff. So real quick, I want to jump into a segment that we're going to start doing every week, and we're going to do our social media questions. Facebook, Twitter, give us a shout out. Let us know what a question. Our first question for the night comes from our good friend Nate. He wanted to know what our favorite video game of all time was and why. So I'm going to throw this over to Anthony to answer first.
Oh, this is a really hard one for me to answer because there's so many different ways I could go with it. If it's just in terms of sheer time played, I'd have to go with World of Warcraft just because of the number of hours I've dumped into that game.
All right.
The flip side of that, if it's story and stories I've enjoyed the most, then again, I couldn't narrow it down to one, but I'd have to say the Mass Effect series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's an overall exactly. It's one of those things. It's hard to nail down a favorite game because again, if it's gameplay, motherfucking Doom. So I don't know. I'd have the new one, the very new one. It was a lot of fun. It was very fast paced, at least for the campaign. I really enjoyed it. So honestly, I'd have to say favorite game of all time. You know what? I'm gonna have to throw it old school to Warcraft: Orcs and Humans.
All right.
Just because that was the one that really got me into gaming. That was the first time I'd actually built like a LAN so I could play multiplayer with some of my buddies.
Right.
So that was really the game that set me up to be the geek I am today. So I'm gonna have to give that one props and go with Warcraft: Orcs and Humans.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna throw it over to Matt for the next answer.
All right, for my favorite video game of all time would come down to either Dark Souls 1 or BioShock 1. Both very good, ambient, very, I don't know. They're great at building atmosphere, I'll say that. BioShock in particular. But I love BioShock's story, so it's the biggest twist to any video game for me. And the gameplay, I know Chris wasn't too keen on the first one, but I really enjoyed it.
Matt, would you kindly hand me a drink real quick?
Go fuck yourself. And then Dark Souls 1. I was so frustrated with that game the first time around, but then I beat it and went through again, and everything was so much easier now that I knew what the hell I was doing, and it became really satisfying, almost cathartic in a way. And I've just played that game countless times since.
So
I really will.
Nice. Well, for me, for franchise, Legend of Zelda is my favorite franchise of all time. However, when it comes to video game, I'm reaching back. Half-Life.
Ooh, good call.
Half-Life has to be. It's what got me into a lot of, it got me into shooters. It got me into those kinds of stories. I loved that the protagonist was a scientist and really kind of put into a really shitty situation. And I love the idea. I love the silent protagonist that is Gordon Freeman.
Yeah.
Because you really get to project yourself onto him in any situation. But
so now I'm going to ask, Half-Life or Half-Life 2?
The first one.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, Half-Life 2 is an amazing game, but it wouldn't be there without Half-Life 1. And I just love Half-Life. The first game was really great. So even though Legend of Zelda is my favorite franchise, I have to put Half-Life there as my number one game of all time.
Game.
So Nate, there you go. There are answers. Way to make us dig deep. That was a tough question for a lot of us because as you know, we all love games. So the other question we got on social media today is from
potentially tougher.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. It's from Colin, and he said, if you could have one item from any video game, which item would you take and why? He said the item would be able to do whatever it could in the game as well. So I'm going to assume that you could actually have it in real life and be able to use it as it's used in the game in real life.
Yeah, it would keep all of its properties.
So that's kind of what we're rolling with. Colin, give us a shout out if that's not right, but that's what we're going to roll with tonight for your question. So, Anthony, start us off again.
I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit and say the Hyperion from StarCraft. Give me the motherfucking battlecruiser, bitch.
That would be pretty epic. So, kind of talk us through why.
Warp speed,
because it's a fucking
massive
Hyperion,
weapons,
dude.
Yamato cannon, big ass fucking spaceship that could ruin your day.
Alright, well, yeah. I get that. I can see that.
That'd be a great one. If I
mean, again, I get there's a lot of other things with like more mystical powers, arguably more powerful items and stuff like that. But yeah, no, the Hyperion. I have a tattoo of the Hyperion on my arm, so I'm going to go with the Hyperion.
All right. So Matt, what is yours?
For me, I might have to play the bad guy little and say either Soul Edge from the Soul Calibur series, or honestly, I might take the Omni tool from Mass Effect.
Yeah, the Omni tool's pretty awesome.
Like, that thing can do a lot. You could hack stuff with it. It could be a weapon if you need it for self-defense. That thing can do a lot of cool stuff. It's kind of underutilized, I would say. Or maybe a little underappreciated to some degree.
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, man. Mine's... I'm having a hard time on this.
Chris on the chopping block.
I know. So, there's two items that stand out to me. One, because it would just be really fucking fun until you got stuck, is the portal gun.
Okay.
I had that too, but without the leg gears, you would break your legs.
Exactly. So, but my answer would probably have to be the Ocarina of Time. You have the ability to manipulate time, the weather, all these different things.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But could you play it?
Yes, I could play it. Thank you very much.
It has the properties, but do you know how to play an instrument?
Yes, I played instruments.
He accidentally hits the wrong note.
No, but being something I could definitely figure out how to play, and you have so many powers encased in that, I think I'd have to go with the Ocarina of Time. That's probably what I would go with.
I would not trust that in Chris's hands. He would do things like go specifically to my house, play the Song of Storms, and then leave.
It would also be really fun to troll Matt. Yeah, no, but there's a lot of really cool things you could do with that. So I want to give a shout out to Nate and Colin. Thanks for the questions tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed our answers. Kind of some final comments before we end for the week. We're running a little long this week, so apologies. But I do want to give a shout out. We have Justin from the Epic PodQuest coming to join us next week. So keep an eye out for that. If you haven't checked out Epic PodQuest, they're a really, really fun podcast. They talk about a lot of different things. One of my favorite things is they talk about a lot of microbrews and different beers and stuff, which is super awesome.
By the way, we are all sitting here with a beer in front of us right now, so we definitely appreciate that.
They cover some really cool stuff. They also talk about, they talk about pop culture. They talk about things going on. So really, really fun podcast. Justin, Grant, all you guys are really, really great. I love listening to your show. You guys are a lot of fun. And I'm not forgetting you, Nate. I love you, bro. Shout out to Nate. He busts his ass off, too. I love you, man. Team Nate, Team Justin, Team Grant. Throw those in there for you. But, yeah, check out the Epic PodQuest. We're going to have Justin here next week. He's a really fun guy. He's going to have a lot to say with some of the stuff we go. And we're going to actually have him bring a top 5 list with us. So you'll get to check out his top 5. So keep tuned for that. Again, check out Epic PodQuest. The guys are great. They have a great show going on. They're coming up on 200 episodes. So be sure to stick around, check it out. They also have an amazing intro song, so check that out. The band is great. They do a lot of great work, so check that out as well. But yeah, Justin from Epic Podcast will be here next week as a special guest. So also, I want to go ahead and give our social media shout-outs. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Duly Nerded. Subscribe to our YouTube page, Duly Nerded, on there as well. Check out our website. We got some awesome content, blogs from all three of us going up. Matt and Anthony both have some two really, really great ones. Some life lessons from a raid leader. Matt has a really great D&D story, kind of what we were talking about earlier in the show. Check out our website, www.duly-nerded.com. Really great content. And again, thanks for listening. We're super stoked, and have a great week. We're signing off.
Thanks for tuning in.